The following program is intended for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst!
We now join the following program already in progress.
Well, I don't know what that was all about.
Testing.
Anyways, I'm here, yeah. We're trying out a new recording system tonight, so the first time I tried it, it bounced me off Skype and sent me off into the vast wasteland of internet.
Mike was wondering if you even realized what you did if you just started talking, and then we were just
I knew right.
Figure it out.
I knew right away as soon as it happened because it said you've been signed out of Skype, and I was in Skype timeout for messing up. Anyway, boys, it's been a while since we talked any sports here. We were off for the holidays, and then we did the Star Wars special last week, and a whole lot's happened.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I just want to say this: nobody circles the wagons like my Irrational Confidence Tennessee Titans, baby. You're welcome, America. My boys finally did it for you.
It's just so funny because the thing that rings, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess it's irony. The last time the Patriots had to play on Wildcard Weekend, the last time they had a loss like this was the team on the road coming in and using their running back, in this case it was Ray Rice and the Baltimore Ravens, to dominate the game and blow the Patriots open. And that's what we got here with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. It was just funny to me how similar it was. The big difference, of course, was just how bad Brady and the Patriots looked.
Can I finally say what I've wanted to say all season and didn't because I didn't want to tempt the football gods?
Sure.
Please.
I have been thinking this since before the season started, but I knew better than to say it. I think I kind of a few weeks back said if I were going to say this is what I would say. Now I'm just going to come right out and say it. I have thought from the beginning that at 42 years old, Brady would slowly start losing it as the season progressed. And that's exactly what happened. The guy that we were watching on Saturday night was not the greatest quarterback of all time. He was barely good enough to be an NFL quarterback. That's no knock on him or his legacy or anything, but the fact remains that at 42 years old, your skills deteriorate, and when they go fast. It's like you wake up one day and go, I can't throw anymore. What happened? And we could see it happening as the season progressed.
Well,
worse and worse.
I mean, we've seen this before. It happened to Brett Favre.
And Peyton Manning.
And Peyton Manning, we saw it. Like, those are the two notable cases where I think we saw it in real time, where they both went into their final seasons, relatively strong, but then, it was at some point during the season, something just happened and they fell off a cliff. I don't think the drop was as bad for Brady. I don't think there were some games, for example, in the latter half of Peyton Manning's final season, it was not good. That's
Peyton was also dealing with the injuries too.
Yeah, that's right.
He just wasn't physically able to play the position anymore. Brady lost. He's lost a couple miles off the fastball. There's not the zip there, and when it comes to the accuracy, he didn't hit some of the spots, and frankly, he made some bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: it
wasn't the same in any aspect.
Here's the thing with Brady. I think he even at his age, he's still going to have moments where he's going to be, Tom fucking Brady. That's just inevitable because he's that good. But what you've noticed as the season progressed were bad passes that 3 years ago, hell, last year would have been right on the money. And passes that bounced to receivers, and like you said, Zach, bad decisions that he normally wouldn't make because he slows down. The game stays at the same speed, and he's the one slowing down, and you can see it happening. So am I saying he's completely done? No, absolutely not. But I'm saying that you're going to see more and more of this if he keeps playing.
I mean,
honestly, I think he's done.
Honestly,
he won't go out. He'll play next year, but
I think he needs to retire. So I was talking to some people who were oh, there's no way Tom Brady lets his last pass be a pick six. And I'm like, who the fuck cares?
Could it be?
Like, does it matter? Like, even if you are Tom Brady and you are that prideful, like, it's like, all you have to say is like, I've won 6 Super Bowls. Like, I'm probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, my last pass was a pick six. Oh no. Like, it doesn't so now I think he might try to hang on because like, I don't think we've ever seen Peyton Manning. I think is the only one who actually just went like after that season where he fell off a cliff. He's like, all right, no, I'm done. But Favre, kind of hung around. So I don't know. Brady might have that pride. It's like, I got to go out on a higher note. But then again, like that was Favre's downfall. Like Favre won that Super Bowl in 96. He came close a couple times after that, but near the end, it was clear he wanted to go out with another Super Bowl win, and he hung on longer than he should have. Yeah. And I think that would be. He
had that last good year with the Vikings where they went to the NFC title game, and then he threw the pick six.
Yeah,
what happened to Favre?
He still tried after that, and it was clear that
it was not working.
It was not there. Yeah,
and Favre wasn't as old as Brady is right now at that point either. I think Favre was only 39, maybe 40. Brady's got – and those 2 years between 40 and 42 are big.
I mean,
but Favre's thing was that he didn't have the arm strength anymore to do the shit that he used to do. And instead of being able to, like, put balls in places where nobody else could, he couldn't do that anymore. And all of a sudden it was interception after interception.
You look at Tom Brady and you go, like, I don't think – there's any shame on his part in retiring at the age of 42 when you won a Super Bowl at the age of 41.
Right.
So I kind of in the boat where it's like he probably needs to retire because, I mean, he wasn't a complete disaster this year. But the thing is that there was a very noticeable decline, and that shit doesn't get better as you get. He's going to be 1 year older. He's either going to be just at the same level, or he's going to be a bit worse. And you could make the arguments like, oh well, maybe he could still go if he had a better receiving core. But at the same time, it's like we've seen Tom Brady win Super Bowls with receiver cores of just white guys who played lacrosse. Like Tom Brady in his prime could make this receiving core look like Pro Bowlers.
Exactly.
The quarterback's good.
Greg.
Oh wait.
Oh, I'm not pausing. Am I okay now?
You're good.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't go from saying that, well, Brady can win with any group of receivers to all of a sudden saying, well, now he needs better receivers. The constant is that if the receivers are all the same, he was a better quarterback 5 years ago, 2 years ago, last year than he was this year, and specifically on Saturday. Like, yes, it doesn't hurt. Like, there was a play late in that game where it was third down. He throws it to Edelman, who's his safety valve, the guy that he can always count on, and it hit off Edelman's hands, hit off Edelman's chest, and then went through Edelman's hands going to the ground. And it was just like, if Brady isn't getting help from Edelman, then they're officially done tonight because they're not. The rest of the team isn't good enough, and he's clearly not having a great game. So,
well, how about the pass that he threw? I don't remember who the intended target was. It might have been Edelman again, where it bounced to him. I mean, it didn't even get there. It was like 4 yards short. It hit in front and bounced up. Peyton Manning had, if you remember, when he went to with Broncos was there for what, 2 or 3 years? I don't remember. 2.
No, 3.
3.
Anyway, he was really good the first 2 years he was there. Anyway, he was really good for a while, and then he wasn't anymore. And they won that Super Bowl, and he got his second ring, but I think he'd be the first to tell you he didn't have a whole lot to do with that.
No, that team won something like 5 games of Brock Osweiler at quarterback. So
he was better the year that they lost to the Seahawks.
Which was just one of those really weird fluke Super Bowls.
Yeah, the way that game started with the snap over his head and everything else, like that game was lost before he really even got the chance to do anything about it.
Yeah, that play ended that game really because
Yeah, it's. But I think this is it. like I think we've danced around for 2 years, 3 years now of saying, well, you pencil the Patriots in, and then I don't want to be the one to jinx them.
The reason why is because last year Greg did go out on the limb, and we saw what happened.
Yeah, but I think taking everything that you've seen this year, taking specifically the last 4 weeks, and you can say, yeah, this is it. They might still win the division next year because that's just the state of that division. It's just that bad.
Incidentally, because Buffalo also lost, the Patriots remain the only team from that division to have won a playoff game since 2010.
Yeah. It's just I think I'm safe with calling it done because I think even if Brady comes back, he's not going to get to the level he was 2 years ago.
I think at this point, it was boom or bust for the Patriots this year. Either the dynasty continued another year or it was over, and I think it's over. And I'm willing to go on like you said, Zach. And I've said it plenty of times on the show. They are the team to beat. They are the best team until they lose. And they've lost before, but it was always really close losses in the Super Bowl. But this was Wildcard Weekend. Brady looked very bad. The Titans controlled the game. This is the loss, right? I think this is it. The dynasty's over, and I think that pick six sealed it. And I think
that was so great.
He almost did the same thing in the first half to the same guy on the same play.
But that's another good example.
I just want to say, Tom Brady just can't go anymore. The dynasty's over. He once remarked, someone asked Tom Brady a few years back, when are you going to retire? And he said, when I suck. And, I think if he's honest with himself, he's like, this is it. I'm going to take my 6 Super Bowls and I'm going to spend time with my supermodel wife. Tom Brady, again, and this is probably going to get into a slightly different discussion. And I know there's always the Joe Montana discussion, but I think Tom Brady is either the clear-cut greatest quarterback of all time, or he is right up in a 1A, 1B type of discussion. And I think at this point, you've got to be in terms of himself, he's got to be honest with himself and be it's over. It's done. He could come back, but it's not, but he's going to come back. He can come back, but it's not going to get any better.
If he's going to come back, and I think he'll stay with the Patriots, he'll either retire or he'll stay with the Patriots. He's not. I was listening. I listened to 8 different podcasts today, and I heard the Raiders, the Browns, which cracked me up.
The one that I heard,
the Chargers,
was the Chargers.
Right, the Chargers.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Although
the Chargers open up that Stan Kroenke's house with Tom Brady trying to sell.
Well, maybe somebody would buy a PSL at that point if they signed Brady.
Jesus Christ! What? So the Chargers are going to trade old broken down Phillip Rivers for old broken down Tom Brady? That would be the most Spanos thing ever. By the way, it's our franchise quarterback, has finally gotten up there in age to the point where he can no longer play. Who do we replace him with? Another franchise quarterback who's up there in age who can no longer play.
Those West Coast teams are where the Hall of Famers go to die. Johnny Unitas with the Chargers, Namath with the Rams, Brady with the Chargers. But
that would look so weird.
Montana
Brady
with the Chiefs is a
right. West. Montana was still pretty good.
Yeah, Montana.
One of those years was the Chiefs. I think by the second year, though, again, just like everybody else, he wasn't Joe Montana anymore.
The Brady in a Chargers uniform would be the weirdest thing.
I don't want to see him in anything other than a Patriots uniform. Either stay there or go home.
Yeah, we all remember Emmitt Smith, great running back, but in that Cardinals uniform, it was just so off-putting.
Please do not let us put a picture of Tom Brady in the players in the wrong uniforms thread on the boards, because that's what's going to happen.
I was going to mention the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is old broken down Tom Brady still an upgrade over 30 for 30 Jameis Winston?
No, Jameis 5,000 yards. Jameis is I tell you what, if that guy could stop throwing interceptions, that team would be really, really good.
Yeah, okay, but as a Chargers fan, I've been there before. I'm like, this season would have turned out differently if all the turnovers just hadn't happened.
My favorite quote from the move out day for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Bruce Arians, like, hey, do you think you can would you be able to win with a quarterback other than Jameis? And he said something like, with a different quarterback? Oh, sure. If we can win with this quarterback, we can win with any quarterback. It's like, oh boy.
Well, think about it though. They would spot teams 14 and 21 points a game and still be competitive in every game and win some of those games. One thing I wanted to say about the Patriots and whether or not the dynasty is dead, I think it's kind of hilarious that it didn't have to be, but Tom Brady may have no one else to blame but himself that it is going to be over. Because if he hadn't basically pressured the team into getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, he sits down or Belichick cuts him is what happens. Let's be honest about it. Belichick's got no sentimentality towards players at all. He cuts Brady this year. Garoppolo's in, and we're right back where we started. Maybe not quite as good, but they're not going anywhere yet. And now that's not going to happen. I don't even know who I know Cody Kessler is one of Brady's backups. He was with the Browns. If the Browns cut you at quarterback, I don't even know how you stay in the league at that point, but you do. And I don't know the other guy's name.
Josh McCown has survived, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had a McCown sighting in the playoffs over the weekend, too, which was great. But I'm not ready to say it's completely over yet. Here's the thing. If Brady comes back and he's willing to be a game manager and not be Tom Brady anymore, and they can upgrade a few positions here and there, I think they're going to be good again. I don't think they're going to be the Death Star anymore. I think they're going to be beatable. But they'll be competitive. I mean, they're not going to go 4-12 next year. I don't think. Maybe they will.
No, they're not going to go 4-12. Like I said, I still think they probably win the division. Maybe Buffalo does it if they can, have a similar season this year. Or
you're talking about a team that's like 3 players short of being really good is Buffalo.
No, you want to talk about Buffalo pulling the ultimate Buffalo.
Yeah. It's hard to think of how they would fix themselves because they've never been a running team, really. They've had decent running backs here and there, but I would never call the Patriots.
Anyone remember Corey Dillon on the Patriots?
I was just going to bring up Corey Dillon.
Yeah, Corey Dillon. What was that guy with the 3 names? I forget. He sounded like they called him a law firm.
Oh, right. Yeah. I can't think of his name either, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But that's what I mean is like they've had kind of interchangeable running backs for years. And they don't have any wide receivers. Like, somebody like N'Keal Harry, who was an ASU guy, he should develop into a really good wide receiver. But Tom Brady's not going to be around to see that happen. So I don't know. I don't know what they do. What they got to do is kind of what they tried to do this year, where they leaned on their defense, and you just got to hope that.
Yeah, but that though, that defense is old too. I mean, I was reading an article I think it was of all places, Peter King, talking about the age on that team, and there are so many guys that are 30 or older on that roster right now. So it might be it. It might be, and all things come to an end. And if this is the end of it, I don't think it ended so bad. You went 12-4 and you lost in the first round of the playoffs. That's worse. That's could have been a lot worse. Could have been 3-13 and been terrible all year.
We talked a lot about the Patriots. What about the team that actually beat them?
My Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
I don't have anything other to say though, other than Derrick Henry's good and Mike Vrabel looks like your slightly confused uncle. Like
Mike Vrabel was a genius in this game. The thing he did where he took the penalties to run off the clock, just like Belichick did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It made Belichick furious. You saw him on the sideline just like, this is fucking bullshit. He can't fucking do that. It's fucking bullshit. It's like, Bill, you did this.
You did this.
Where do you think he learned it from? You.
Well, and how
Mike
important
Vrabel might be the one Belichick coach who actually, it turns out all right.
Well, you know why, don't you? Because he never coached under Belichick. He only played for him.
True.
So he learned like how Belichick coaches from being a player, not by like trying to through osmosis become Belichick, But they took almost 2 minutes off the clock with that punt maneuver they did yesterday.
Yeah, I think they got the ball at like 6:49, and then the Patriots got the ball back at like 4-something.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
I was really waiting for them to just do it all the way until they got to their own like 10. just really like milk it for all it's worth. But I mean, they came in with the perfect game plan. Like I said, it was the Ray Rice sort of game plan where, you're putting everything on the shoulders of Derrick Henry, and it's either gonna fail spectacularly as he's stuffed all the time, because as fun as it is to say that Ryan Tannehill has more wins this decade in the playoffs than Tom Brady and Drew Brees do, that wasn't something to rely on. But they got it done. Props to them. That's major. I mean, really, the way that they've turned around since Tannehill's come in has been kind of astounding.
Who knew Ryan Tannehill just had to get out of Miami?
Well, I think that Adam Gase, the more I read about him and the more I learn about him, is a bit of a psycho as a coach. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if maybe that's going to work for Sam Darnold, maybe not. I don't know. It clearly didn't work for Ryan Tannehill, because we always said Ryan Tannehill was just like a game manager guy, but turns out he's pretty good. And it's not like Tennessee is known for having this high-powered offense either. Mm-hmm. And Tannehill was like the highest-rated passer in the league from the time he took over. Their offensive, whatever that DVOA thing means or whatever, went from like 29th to 6th. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's pretty good. So maybe it's bad. I don't know. But it just – who knows with the Titans. They're going to be an interesting matchup. Who do they play next?
The Ravens.
Yeah. That's gonna be tough.
As fun as the AFC playoffs were on Saturday, I don't think either of the teams that won are
I think the party's over.
I think we're ready for Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson to do what they do next weekend and set things straight and meet up in a week. Because to move on, one more thing on the Patriots and the Titans, then we can go. Who we really have to thank for this result, right?
Oh, of course, the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You better believe it.
The hero that we all deserve.
I watched that entire game because it was either watch that or the Browns-Bengals game. And I thought, well, first off, I know the Browns are going to lose to the Bengals. I knew it going in, so I'm not even wasting my time. I watched the whole game because I thought the Dolphins always have a shot against the Patriots. It's just one of those weird things.
Every year.
And I was watching the game, I'm like, they might pull this off. And they did. And it was really a fun game to watch. It was the Dolphins were playing, they're better. They were the better team that day. That's the only way I can put it.
Is Ryan Fitzpatrick still did he end the season as Miami's leading rusher?
I don't know.
Because he was at one point.
Did he play quarterback throughout the whole season for them this year?
No, he got benched for like 2 or 3 games, and then Josh Rosen was just not good enough. So,
right,
back to him.
But the reason I ask is, did Fitzpatrick finally break the I need 3 games to get ready to play a good game cycle? Because they were pretty solid the second half of the season, the Dolphins. They weren't good.
No. Fitzpatrick was there the whole time except for like 2 or 3 games near the beginning.
Ryan Fitzpatrick was the leading rusher for the Miami Dolphins this season.
Then to steal a phrase from YouTube channel That's Good Sports, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the homeless version of Lamar Jackson.
All right, I'll buy that.
He was averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Not bad.
I tell you what, the way that I might be crazy, but the way the Dolphins, when everybody thought, and we right there with everybody else, thought they were going to be one of the all-time historical bad teams this year, and they were pretty competitive for the good part of the season.
Who was the worst team this year? It was Cincinnati, right?
Cincinnati by a long shot. Yeah,
they had what, 2 wins?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should have been 3. They should have beaten the Browns the other time too, but couldn't get out of their own way to do it. It was a game that Urinating Tree said felt like a loss or whatever, that the Browns won, but it felt like a devastating loss.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But I think the Dolphins might be tough next year. I don't think they're going to be playoff good, but they're going to be feisty next year because they've got 3 picks in the first round. I think they could turn this around quickly, I guess is what I'm trying to say, if they can get a quarterback. But that's for way down the road. We need to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
But thank you, Miami Dolphins and Ryan Fitzmagic, for giving us the Patriots in the wild card round and sending them home and possibly finally ending this long national nightmare.
Oh, very, very.
It's been 19 years.
And
Consider that. That's over half of my life.
Yeah,
the Patriots.
Dude, that's like, well, not quite a third of my life, but that's a good portion of my life too. Well, I'll put it this way: when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, I had just turned 40. I think. No, I hadn't turned 40 yet. I hadn't turned 40 yet.
I was 2001. So in February of 2001 when they won their first Super Bowl. No, it was 2002. Yeah, because it was after September 11th. So it would have been February 2002.
Right.
I was 14.
Yeah, I was just shy of 12.
Yeah, it's been.
I was still in my 30s. When they said now I'm in my 50s, so that gives you an idea of how long it was.
Like that gives you I was 14 when God damn it that and I am now 32. So
and I have been around for, except for the Packers, the early Packers dynasty in the 60s. I've been around for the Dolphins in the 70s, which wasn't nearly as long. Mm-hmm. The Steelers, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and now this. And
plus the 85 Bears, don't forget them.
Well, but with these long stretches of dominance by these teams, I've never seen the country and football fans as a whole react as poorly to one as they did to this one. Mm-hmm. And I don't really get it. I mean, I think
Boston,
but
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a few things. One, it's Boston. Like that's just not overestimate. Like it. I think the only Boston.
Tom Brady.
It's Tom. I think it's Tom Brady because I think all things being equal, right? Tom Brady just has a punchable face.
Golden boy.
He's
he's a hard worker. He wasn't born with a silver spoon like Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, Tom Brady. He's this he's this handsome, golden boy type guy. Like I think that adds to it. I think you also add the fact that honestly, the Patriots were kind of like the San Antonio Spurs of football, where they weren't a flashy team. Like you look at you look at those 49ers teams or the Cowboys teams of the 90s. Like those were really fun, flashy teams when they won. But the Patriots, it was just kind of this methodical style of football. And then I think the other thing that you can't discount is all of the cheating accusations.
Yes. I think that and Belichick's attitude overall kind of turns.
Well, and one more thing I think that we don't really probably give enough credit to for all the hatred is that when the Steelers and then the Niners and the Cowboys were doing their thing, there was no social media. There was really no internet. It wasn't crammed down our throats 24 hours a day, 7. The NFL wasn't a year-round game back then either.
I also think
the Super Bowl ended, the season was over, and you didn't worry about it again until August. So maybe that played a big part of it too.
I think that does. Another thing I want to point out is that as much as those teams were dominant in their time, we're talking about a stretch that almost hit 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't care. Okay, the Cowboys were good for, a 5-year stretch.
Yeah.
The 49ers had maybe, the 49ers had probably a solid decade where they were,
I think it was 14 years with the Niners, but it wasn't all consistently good. I mean, they were up and down throughout.
The Patriots made what? Was it 9 or 10 straight AFC championship games?
Yeah, but the Patriots have either been the Super Bowl champions or one of the best teams that plays for the AFC title in this stretch. And
yeah.
I think every other reason we've mentioned for why why people had such a negative reaction to them is valid. But I think also at the end of the day, it's this is a run of dominance that we've yet to see. And frankly, at the end of the day, even the most benign team, if they are consistently the best team for 20 years, it's going to rub people the wrong way. Eventually, someone's going to go, I'm tired of this.
Because it's gone that long, the hate crosses generations.
Yeah, exactly.
And because of how long they've done it, they've played pretty much every team in the AFC that's been good over that stretch too.
Oh yeah, no.
So it's not like it's just they're beating one team, and so it's only a handful of people that hate them. Like, no, they've consistently beaten everybody.
Oh yeah, no. Like a good chunk of my frustration as a Chargers fan has been at the hands of Tom Brady. But like, you're right about it.
Like, the Chargers don't have championships because of him. Peyton Manning only has 2 because of him.
Like the year that the Chargers went 14-2, who'd they lose to in the playoffs, right? Yeah. And so it's like, and so I mean, it was Marty Schottenheimer coaching, so it was probably going to happen eventually if it didn't happen to the Patriots. But like I don't know. It's this weird thing where I think at the end of the day, you know, you're good for 20 years. You beat up on the entire league for 20 years. People will get tired of that. So I think it's a number of factors, and you know, it's over. That's the best thing I could say. Like, I almost don't know how to react. Like, I thought that it would be this euphoric thing when it happened, but I think I'm just so shell shocked. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm kind of like, is it okay to believe in freedom again?
Yeah, the funny thing was, when it was pretty clear that the Titans were going to win, I even tweeted this, I think. I said, you know, as much as I don't want to see it happen, I still think it would be kind of cool to see Brady be Brady one more time and pull this out. He didn't, and I'm glad.
Well, but when he got the ball back with like 14 seconds left, I was like, God damn it, he's going to do it, isn't he?
Yeah, like
the ball, they got the ball with 14 seconds left on the 1 yard line, and I was just like,
God damn,
this
like
is,
if he
as much
throws
as
up
this is the worst possible place he could be, this is also something that would, you know.
Could you imagine if he had just like tossed it up to like, I don't know, like Julian Edelman triple coverage, and he comes down with it and like falls ass backwards into the end zone? It's like, you just go home and just like, fuck.
See, but I think that
a football fan card at that point is to be like, you know what, game's not for me anymore.
Yeah.
But that, you know, we joke, but that's a testament to how good this guy is. That they were on their 1 yard line with 14 seconds left, and we were still nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we'd watched him play as badly as he had throughout that entire game. And really, is there anybody else in the NFL that if they were in that exact situation would have said, like, okay, there's still a shot? No.
I mean, like, as Brady was going onto the field for that final play, one of the commentators was like, you know, nobody has more fourth-quarter comebacks in NFL history than Tom Brady. And I'm like, yes, I am aware.
I wasn't, like, necessarily afraid that it was going to happen, but it's like, he's the only guy where it'd be like, but you know.
Right. There's a chance. There's a chance.
Yeah. But what if he did?
Right.
I mean, he's not going to. But what if they did, though?
No joke.
Well, 14 seconds. 14 seconds. Okay, let's say he completes a 40-yard pass right to the sideline to Adam, and he gets out of bounds. 8 seconds left. He fires another one down to the 30. 5 seconds. Takes it. Now he's got 3 seconds left. He's at the 30-yard line, and you're going, all of a sudden he's going to do this.
No.
He's the only quarterback in the league right now that you would think that about. Anybody else? This is done.
No joke. And maybe this just goes to how much I've been like battered as an NFL fan by the Patriots over the years, but I had a dream the day after, Saturday night. I had a dream that he actually pulled it off. Like, I actually dreamt I was watching the game, and I can't remember how exactly it happened, but like I distinctly remember going, like, having this dream, being like, oh god damn it. So like it's this weird feeling, and it's a good feeling, but I think I need time. Like, I need time to slowly like process what's happened. But Zach's right. It crosses generations. Like, I teach kids who literally their entire lives, the Patriots have been the best team.
Yeah.
And
my niece is 15, and she's never known anything but the Patriots being good.
And I feel like, you know, to tie into our last show, the Star Wars Holiday Special, I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, talking to, like, Luke about, like, the time before the Empire. It's
yeah. That's where I'm at. I mean, I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast today, and they were talking about, like, you know, great quarterbacks and all that. And they're like, we have to rank them just basically the 10 that we actually saw play. I went, oh, my God, if I did that, I would sound so old. Because I'd go all the way back to, like, Bradshaw, Staubach, Montana, Marino, Elway, you know, through the 90s, Aikman. I mean, it's just like, but Yeah, it's been I think to use the Red Wings analogy I use, like when I started following hockey, the Red Wings were awful, and you guys can't think of them as anything other than like the Death Star for a while there.
Yeah,
and
now they're finally back to being terrible, and this is nice.
I like the
Red Wings.
I like the Red Wings sucking. They can stay like this for a while.
Yeah, this is
yeah,
nice.
but like I said, I've said it a million times on the show. I'll say it again. The Boston can act like the Patriots were as big a part of the sports scene in Boston as the Bruins, the Red Sox, and the Celtics were, but they weren't. Yeah. They weren't even close.
I can't wait for when the Patriots are finally officially done. Like Brady's gone, Belichick's gone, and they are going, 4-12 every year, and just to see how Boston cares about it then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there weren't fans. There certainly were, but it was not like it is now. And of course, I've 20 years of excellence will do that. But these people, I've been there from the beginning. That's bullshit. You haven't, because I was there and I know.
I've always kind of gotten the sense, and again, I don't really know for sure because, again, I was 14 when this started, so I didn't really have a full, sense of how things were. But the sense that I've always gotten is that before this started, the Patriots were like the redheaded stepchild of Boston sports.
They were. They absolutely were. Because first off, they didn't even play in Boston. They play in Foxborough, which is 25 miles north or east.
It's closer to Providence, Rhode Island, than it is to Boston.
Right.
I think our friend Admiral said it best, actually. The Patriots are so weird. It's like if that town from what was it? Felicity or something, got an NFL team. This really small New England town.
So yeah, and all of a sudden, I think the Red Sox helped with this too. It's I don't know, the Patriots got swept up into that somehow. Yeah. When the Red Sox started winning and all that.
The Red Sox and the Celtics and the Bruins.
Right. And all of a sudden, here the Patriots fall out of nowhere and win a Super Bowl amongst all. Well, they actually kind of got it started, if I remember right.
Yeah,
but they were the first one, and then they went on.
Then the Sox, then the Celtics,
and then the Bruins won it in 2011, which is again why people are hating on Boston fans on the Kramer boards, because Boston fans are like, oh, it's we're allowed to be. It's we're allowed to dish it back out when people mock us. It's no, man, I can't think of a city luckier than Boston over the what city was the city for pro sports in 2010 in the 2010s? It was Boston.
Absolutely. I can't think of a city ever having a run like this.
They're the only.
They were the city of the 2010s and the 2000s.
Yeah,
they get both those decades.
They get over the course of those 20 years. They won a sport in the big, they got at least one title in each of the big four. I can't think of any other city that happened to. Chicago,
not to mention playing in multiple finals in all of them.
Yeah.
Whether the Bruins only won the one, they still played in 3?
Yeah, they played in 3. Yeah.
Yeah, the Celtics, won.
1-1, and then they lost to the Lakers.
And then the Red Sox won a few, and the Patriots, became the most successful team in the history of sports. So
professional sports, yeah.
I think what this would be akin to is if in Cleveland sports, all of a sudden the Columbus Blue Jackets became the most popular team in Cleveland sports. That's what this is like.
So the Patriots are dead. And unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills are also dead, despite being up 16-0.
That was a weird game.
I've got friends who are Buffalo Bills fans from back home.
They are Toronto's NFL team.
Oh Jesus! And
Bon Jovi told me so.
And I have had to put up with people texting me all season go the Bills, they're gonna do it, this is the year. And then even through this game, it's it's 16-0 Frank Gore, and it's guys.
It was
guys. That was the most Buffalo Bills way to end a playoff game.
Man.
They had I got to give Deshaun Watson all the credit in the world in overtime. I mean, that dude got slaughtered by 2 players and walked away and threw a pass and put them in the position to win that game. I don't even know how you do that, but he came out of it. But the Bills, well, it's like I said earlier, if they had any kind of offense at all, they'd be pretty good because their defense is really good.
Their defense is really good, but their offense is just flat.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have anything to work with, really. Josh Allen, I mean, I don't think he's going to be Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, but I think he could be solid. But he's got nobody to work with. I mean, the best guy they have in a receiving core is a Dallas Cowboys reject in Cole Beasley, right? Mm-hmm. That's it.
It tells you something when the Bills' best passing play of the day was to Josh Allen.
Yeah, exactly. That tells you all you need to know. But I thought they were going to do it. I really thought they were going to do it. They were there. I don't know what happened.
What really would have been if did you see the play that started the second half?
Yeah, the kickoff.
The kickoff where the referee ruled it a touchdown when it clearly wasn't. If the referee had stuck to his guns, and that it would have been some really ballsy guns to call that play a touchdown. And then it was 23-0. Maybe they hold on. But
don't you think
I love the referee calling it specifically by the rule book when it's like the guy gave himself up. He's not throwing the football away, but by the letter, he didn't go down.
By the letter of the law, he was moving forward. Now he was only walking. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And he basically fumbled, and it should have been a touchdown. Bills. I mean, by the letter of the law. Now I don't know how this game was so messed up on so many levels. I don't even know where to start with that. But
great game by any stretch now.
It was, yeah. So, I mean, but I also understand too, he clearly wasn't trying to run out of the end zone. So, I guess they called it correctly.
I do want to point out that this was our obligatory Saturday afternoon Texans game.
Costco Saturdays are for shopping Texans Bowl?
Yes.
Yes.
And they finally, they've won a few of them. Never mind. Yeah, they usually beat the Bengals in these games, but the Bengals couldn't be there today. So
the Bengals were the alternate for this game, just in case the Bills couldn't show up. The Bengals were going to be the alternate.
There was 3 straight years where it was Bengals Texans in this game.
Here's my question: have the Texans ever not played the early Saturday playoff game in the first round?
No.
Every time they've made the playoffs, they've played in this time slot.
It's
the only time they've made the playoff is as a division winner, and when you're the division winner with the least eyes on it all the time, that's just what you get.
As Zach said, they've had the stadium booked for this game since the beginning of the season.
They haven't even gotten lucky in having the Patriots accidentally slip to the 5 seed.
Yeah.
And then having to host the Patriots or something. It's not only that it's always them, it's like you said, them and the Bengals, them and the Raiders, them and the Bills. It's okay. This is what you get based on the matchups. It's just how it is.
So what they need to do is they need to get a bye one of these seasons. And they won't have to do this.
Well, they almost got it this year, but they lost right at the end because no, never mind.
Had they not, if they not gone out and gotten their asses handed to them by Denver, they would have been in the running for a bye because they would have beaten Kansas City.
Would have been in the running, yeah.
If they both gone 12-4, the Texans get the bye because they beat Kansas City head to head. So if they lost one last game, they're not playing in the Saturdays for shopping Costco Texans Bowl. Simple as that.
Yeah. No, this game was solidly on my secondary feed. While I forget what I was doing on Sunday or on Saturday. I think I was watching YouTube videos. Literally, this game was so unimportant that I put it off to the side. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about the game. It just kind of was.
I don't know that any result would have surprised me in this game. I mean, if the Bills had exploded for 20 points, that wouldn't have surprised me. If the Texans had won 58-3, that wouldn't have surprised me. It was just one of those games that, I don't know what these announcers were watching. It clearly wasn't the same game I was watching. Because first off, J.J. Watt did not have this resurrected from the dead, oh my God, he's dominating game. Josh Allen was not nearly as good as Booger McFarland made him out to be. And it was just nutty. And it was not a well-played game. It was just a game that was close, if that makes sense. It wasn't like we're going, well, this is great football. I can't wait to see what happens next. It was like, can we just please end this? That's the way I felt about it. It wasn't fun. It was just competitive.
Well, can we talk about the Sunday early game? Because I think I enjoyed this more than the Patriots losing.
It's pretty delicious. So let's just hypothetical here. Let's say you are the fan of a team. Maybe you wear black and gold. And this team last year lost in overtime at home after a pass interference no call went against them and allowed the other team to eventually win the football game. And your fans then for the next 6 months, maybe you can say full year, whined and complained, and
not
all
just fans, elected government officials.
Fans, elected government officials,
United States senators
in Congress,
at Congress, at the governorship, at the local level, in every newspaper column. You whined and complained so much that they got the rule changed. You could now review pass interference,
which has been just a blessing for the game.
Yes,
really.
Clearly.
Oh yeah.
If this were to happen again to said team, the rule would be in place to prevent that from happening, and thus all ills would be corrected and they would gain their rightful place in history. And then you go into the next year's playoffs and you're at home.
And you're favored.
And you go into overtime and the game-winning touchdown happens to be on a play that may or may not have been offensive pass interference, and it isn't reviewed for that, and you lose. That's just hypothetical if that had happened.
Ironic, as you posted the Palpatine gif in our group chat. Yes.
That is the story of the New Orleans Saints, and I could not be happier.
I was so ecstatic about how this went down. Because, like, here's the thing. I've hated the Saints since Bountygate. You know, I think they're a scummy team. Sean Payton looks like the biggest frat boy douche, like, that you could ever imagine. I hate his face. And Jesus Christ, man, this is the third straight year of crushing playoff disaster, and I love it.
Third straight year of a walk-off loss for them.
Yeah,
you had the Diggs catch in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had loss in overtime to the Rams last year in the NFC title game, and then loss in overtime to the Vikings again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there, and I forget where I heard this. I wish I could give proper attribution here, but I don't remember where I heard it. But if you go back, other than their Super Bowl year, I've got a history of losing games like this. This isn't really new. It's I forget how the Alex Smith game, remember? And I forget what year it was when he had that great run and all that.
Well, you posted the urinating tree video where he got a compilation of all these.
Yeah,
things.
that's where it was. Right. That's it. Yeah, that's where I got it from. Right.
And it was just like, I knew these things had happened, but I too had not made the connection. Like I knew the past 2 years and even the Minnesota one, but just like, it's pretty remarkable. And it's funny because that they've had this happen to them twice now to Minnesota, because if there's a team that's more cursed in the playoffs than the Saints, it's the Minnesota Vikings. But, it just so happens that, the last 3 times these teams have played in the playoffs, you had the Favre interception, which went against the Vikings, but still crazy to the very end. You had the Minnesota Miracle, and now you have this game. They sure don't play boring playoff games at the very least.
Well, but if the Saints
have been on the wrong side of it for 3 years.
If the Saints don't win that Super Bowl in 2009, they're the Cleveland Browns of the 80s, is what they are.
Yeah.
That's all they are. They're nothing more than that.
And it's just so funny because, again, like, I think we talked about this last year when we had to do all these discussions, but when it comes to, before they won that Super Bowl, I was nothing but supportive of the Saints.
Yeah.
The story they're coming back, Drew Brees growing there, reviving this team, all great stuff. The instant that they do the stupid onside kick at halftime, because I was a Colts fan at that time, they've been on my shit list, and they've gotten repaid for it in kind every year since.
To me, the thing that soured me on them was Bountygate. Like that was my bridge too far with them. But I've hated them since. And honestly, the thing that really irked me was this past year, where the loss to the Rams in the NFC title game last year. It's like, okay, I get it. Bad call happened. That doesn't, explain why Drew Brees threw a pick in overtime, that you could still have won that game. And then the whining afterwards, to the point where, again, in the United States Senate, people are wasting time. Like, there was a government shutdown going on at that point. It's like, should we be trying to figure out how to get the government back on track? No. Let's talk about a bad call in a football game.
Well,
the Saints fan base, it crystallized in my mind over the past year how just entitled they are. And so to see this happen to them again was fantastic.
I will say about the Saints and the call yesterday, the call last year, and I'll even go as far as to go back to the Minnesota game and the Minneapolis Miracle. I'll say the same thing about the Saints that I said about my Ohio State Buckeyes when they lost to Clemson on a bad call. You know what? You were the better team. Don't put yourself in a position where one call can cost you a game. And there was no better example of that than last year with the Saints. They had ample opportunity, even after that horrible call, to win that game, and they couldn't pull it off. Mm-hmm. So sorry, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for that. And same with this year. They were favored. They should have had no trouble with the Minnesota Vikings.
It's Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Cousins.
Who's like Owen forever, and any kind of game that's nationally televised. It has a reputation for not being able to win the big one. You've got him in your building and one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. And you play.
He's beaten the Saints twice now, right?
Yeah, but that was Case Keenum, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's right.
But so don't put yourself in that position. You should have been up by 14 or whatever. I mean, if you're as good as you think you are, if you're a 13-3 football team, you should have never been that close. Mm-hmm. Last year, you had numerous opportunities against a Rams team that wasn't playing that great, but was hanging around, and you couldn't finish them. So spare me all the one call cost us the game bullshit, because it didn't. Every team gets a bad call. It's just the way it goes.
I just cracked up laughing as I was watching the final play of this game, because it's touchdown and Saints are angling for a review for offensive pass interference, but of course it's overtime, right? So it's initiated by the booth. You can't challenge it. And the announcers are kind of like, it might be reviewed. And then when the announcer said the line, it's not going to be reviewed, that's the game, I cracked up laughing. Like, yes. That's
the thing, though, man. They put themselves in these positions. I can't feel bad. And look, I've been on the short end of quite a few calls as a Cleveland Browns fan over the years. Okay. It's just the way it goes. And if you're going to get that, but I don't know. Maybe I need to take sports more seriously. I'm not sure, but the way these people get bent out of shape about this is like, your life doesn't change a bit if that call goes the other way. You may be a little happier, but you still got to go to work tomorrow, and you want to now you want to change the rules again. Now they want to be able to have challenges inside of 2 minutes, because it's like, just fuck up.
They won't change the overtime rules too.
Yeah. Because they never got to see the ball. You want to see the ball? Stop the offense. Simple. Come on.
If they change the rules again.
By the way, they got the ball first against the Rams.
Yeah.
And
there was
and Drew Brees threw a pick.
Just letting you know.
Here's the thing. Talking about I'm going to go back to Obi-Wan here. I used to root for the Saints too, because in my life, they had never had a winning season until 1987. And they came into the league, and I don't remember what year it was. I was too young to remember when they actually started as a team. But I knew that the best they'd ever done in any single season was 8-8. And I think that only happened once, from like the late 60s all the way into the mid 80s. And then they got Bobby Hebert from the USFL. They had Reuben Mays, Deuce McAllister, a couple of good wide receivers, an incredible defense. And I think they went like either 9-7 or maybe 11-5, and they went in the playoffs for a few years. That was really cool, And then the Katrina thing happened. All that was really cool. And then, like Mike said, then Bountygate came along. And you're like, well, these guys are a bunch of assholes. And now their fans, who used to be really cool about everything, have turned into complete crybabies. And I just don't respect that at all. You know, don't put yourself in that position. You don't have to worry about it. And if you get screwed, you get screwed. Shut up. It's happened to everybody. Show me the sports fan. Even Patriots fans have gotten screwed. Come on. It happens to everybody. So just
God, the Patriots fans have gotten screwed. But the Patriots have gotten screwed before, and they've never whined to have rules rechanged. How unlikable are you if Boston fans can come across as less bad?
Well, and the thing that taints the Saints fans and the Saints players, let's lump them into this as well, is the first thing they say is referees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like when it goes bad, the first thing they point to is referees. Like I'm gonna find the thing I sent you guys. Did I send it to you guys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. There was a where did I send it to? There was a quote from Cameron Jordan, the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. He was asked after the game if there was a sense of disbelief with the way the season ended. He said, with the talent we have put together on this team, we have full belief in us. Even up to the last second, we figured the ref was going to come in and be a ref. It's a joke.
How about you don't want to lose the game? Don't get beat on that last play, you know, or hell, the play before that, like the play before that was a pretty long pass by Kirk Cousins to set them up. You know, don't give up a 20-yard plus pass that puts the team into the red zone in fucking overtime. How about that?
We believed in us and hoped that the referee would save us.
How about you score more points than you did? You know. Yeah. What was the final? You scored 20 points. This is a team that was like lighting the scoreboard up all season. I mean, Minnesota's pretty good. You know, they're good indoors. But come on.
Their defense played good. You know, give the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm not taking a thing away from the Vikings. The Vikings won that game, and they played
Brees,
better.
By the way, had a fumble, I think a pick. So, you know, Drew Brees might be another quarterback where we're having this Brady discussion in another year or two because you know, he's getting up there in age.
I'm surprised he's been playing as long as he has, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I saw him as a Charger. You saw him as a Charger. Like, I figured he had some good years with the Chargers, but I never thought he would be where he is on all these all-time lists at this point.
No, but I will – boy, I can't believe I'm about to go to bat for Tom Brady here, but I'm going to. But, you know – it helps when you play half your games indoors, and really more than that.
Yeah.
When you know, and then warm weather sites and all that. Yeah. And, you know, so come on. But I'm not taking anything away from Breeze, but I think he might be. I don't know if he's, you know, really up there with Brady as far as like accomplishments go. Sure, he's got a lot of numbers, but you know, let's be honest about it. If you had to pick one in their prime to lead you on a game-winning drive, who are you taking? Brady every single time.
Well, even last year we talked about, and I was mostly trying to piss off, you know, Saints fans, but it is true that last year, you know, both the Saints and the Patriots were in the respective championship games, and you know, when the game was on the line, Tom Brady led a comeback and won it for the Patriots in overtime. You know, Drew Brees tossed the ball up and gave the ball to the Rams, who then went on to win it. So, you know, I think that's a big distinction. But overall, yeah, just screw the Saints, screw their sense of entitlement, it's the refs. It's like, no, you got beat. You allowed the Vikings to set up shop on the 2-yard line in overtime. And it wasn't even a clear case like, okay, yeah, that Rams play last year, that was clearly pass interference. The ref didn't catch it, whatever. This is a bit more questionable.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, what did you think of the actual play? And
it could have gone either way.
Does he push off? Yeah. But all of the contact is no less than we see on a lot of passes.
That's what I mean. I think if you run that same play 50 times, you know, I don't know how many times they call pass interference on that. 10 maybe?
Yeah, especially in overtime in the playoffs in that situation. Like he really has to like shove the guy to the ground for it to
I'm just going to go back to the same thing I've been saying all along. Don't put yourself in a position where that play matters.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. You know,
and to be perfectly honest too, if you're a corner covering a tight end, you need to be better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just cover the pass. You know?
Well, now people are saying that the Saints have wasted Drew Brees' career, which kind of seems crazy. But you look back
they won a Super Bowl, and you know, the only reason that team is still in New Orleans is because of Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's be real here. So I think should they have won more than one?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I don't think they're ever quite as good as we all thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, a dominant team, and we saw it with New England how many times, and we saw it with NFC teams how many times. A dominant team dominates in the playoffs, and these guys just don't do that. They don't. I mean, come on. I don't know what their records were of the Minneapolis Miracle. Minnesota must have been pretty good because they were at home.
I'm going to pull up the Saints seasons.
But
that was the year that Case Keenum just like looked like the best quarterback of all time. That was a really weird year.
But I know they've had some 12 and 13 win seasons, and you know, other than 2009, they've not made it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember what year Breeze went over there.
Oh, 2003, 2005,
2000. It looks like 2006.
2006. Okay,
that's what Sean Payton was the coach of the year, because they were 3-13 the year before, and then they were 10-6 the year after and won the division. So they were 10-6 that first year. They beat the Eagles in that first round game, and they lost pretty big I remember it was a pretty cold game against the Bears.
Right. Yeah, it was in Chicago. Right. Yep.
Right. So we'll count that one off. Then they went 7-9, 8-8, didn't make the playoffs either of those 2 years. Then the next year they win the division at 13-3. They go on and win the Super Bowl. They went 11-5 the year after, lost in the beast mode game in Seattle.
Oh, right. That's
7-9 Seahawks, by the way.
7-9 division champion Seahawks, right?
Yep.
The next year they went 13-3, won the division. And that's the year they lost at the 49ers, you know, the two big plays by Vernon Davis to win the game late there. Again, a game they choked up late.
And that great run by Alex Smith. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm. Then they went 7-9, didn't make the playoffs, 11-5 the year after that. They they beat the Eagles in the first round, then lost at the Seahawks in the next round. I think that was the year the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Was that the year they won the Super Bowl or lost to the Patriots? Either way. Then 3 7-9 seasons after that, so nothing great there. And then the last 3 years of the Minnesota Miracle, the Rams overtime game, and this Vikings overtime game. So to say that they squandered it, I mean, you have since Drew Brees has been there, they've had 5 7-9 seasons, an 8-8 season in there, and then a Super Bowl. You know, a year the first year they were there, that's an okay loss, you know, because they were kind of getting their bearings out of them, but they beat the Colts, and then they've squandered it themselves in the years with the Beast Mode game and the 49ers game.
Mm-hmm.
So and you look at that overall that arc of his career, and again, I'm not taking the thing away from him. He's a good quarterback, but there's as many 7-9s and 8-8s in there as there are 12-4s.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know what you make of that, but again, because, you know, with him being the record holder and all that, all of a sudden he's elevated up there with Brady, and it's like, well, let's really take a look at this. Okay, stats are wonderful, but wins and losses are what's really important, and Brady never had. I mean, God, the year, you know, I think the last losing season the Patriots had was in 2002. Is that right? Because they had a losing season after they won the Super Bowl, and then after that they became the Death Star, and they've been at that ever since. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at here, but anyway.
Breeze has been there for 14 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
This is his 14th season in New Orleans. That's kind of crazy. And they've made the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So,
well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 seasons in the playoffs, 6 seasons out of the playoffs.
Well, yeah, and we really can't keep using the Patriots as a comparison because they don't compare to anything.
No.
That's not fair to anybody else.
Well, no,
Well,
it
really,
isn't fair to anyone
last...
else. But when the narrative is that, Drew Brees and Tom Brady, then I think it does become fair, because that was one of the things that I heard non-Saints fans complain about last year when the Rams made it to the Super Bowl, was like, oh, we could have gotten the Brees-Brady Super Bowl matchup we always wanted. And it's like, is Brees really on Brady's level? Like,
no.
Really?
No, because I think you take his record with the Saints here. And then you look, I'm going to pull up the San Diego Chargers seasons too, but like, there's not a whole lot of, like, where did you expect him to win an extra championship? Like, the fact of the matter is maybe, should they have more? Maybe, but the only people they have to blame are themselves.
Yeah.
For choking those games away.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest about it, of the past, say, 5 or 6, 7 years, the best quarterback matchup would have been peak Brady versus peak Rodgers. Let's be honest about it. Mm-hmm. If you just want to see the two best guys at what they do go at it, that's the game you want right there. Not Aaron Rodgers from this year, and certainly not Tom Brady from this year, but peak, and we can blame Mike McCarthy for this, but peak Rodgers versus peak Brady would have been the clash of the Titans, but we never got to see it. And I don't know. I mean, Brees Brady would have been good. Now we want to see like Mahomes versus Jackson or, something like that. But it's just,
so adding Drew Brees' San Diego tenure, in there as well. He only made the playoffs one time in San Diego.
Yeah.
When they lost to the Jets.
Right. Yeah, that was one of those Nate Kading field goal games.
Nate Kading. Yep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, when he was in San Diego, they were 5-11, 8-8, 4-12, 12-4, then 9-7 when he, tore his arm off.
Yeah. Well, so he's been around a long time then.
Yeah,
he's like 18 years.
Came in the league in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd been in San Diego that long before he went to the Saints.
No, he was only there for. But still, he was only there for 5 years compared to the 14.
I know, but I was thinking he was there like 2 years at San Diego.
He was there for a good run.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Anyway, let's. What else? What are the games? Which one did we not talk about?
The last game was Seahawks Eagles, and really the only thing to talk about here, because it wasn't a good game. This could have gone differently. We could have had a perfect weekend if it wasn't for Jadeveon Clowney drilling Carson Wentz's helmet into the turf with his own helmet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that doesn't get called.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with, all the protection that there is against quarterbacks as it is.
Yeah.
I've heard
that was really
head first into the turf with another guy's head right behind it. I don't know what other thing you can see on that play besides that, and add into the result that he doesn't come back the rest of the game. And, Josh McCown, bless his heart, it's like, what do you want him to do?
Well, yeah, it was fun to have a McCown sighting, and
his first time ever playing in the playoffs.
That floored me. I had no idea. I thought he at least was somewhere along the way had made the playoffs at some point. Maybe he was on a playoff team but never played, because I can't imagine he played for 11 different teams over like 40 years. One of them had to make the playoffs somewhere in there, right? But yeah, I didn't see the play, so I don't know. But what I've heard, the excuse was that they considered him a runner, not a quarterback on that play.
He's in the pocket.
I just telling you what I heard.
I know, but it's just.
No, I agree. I think you got to give the Eagles all the credit in the world, because they were out there. I mean, they really for the past month and a half they've been playing with the JV team. It's like, come on, they got nobody.
They played hard, but also the Cowboys just completely botched. Speaking of other, because this game wasn't very interesting, Seahawks won. Fuck Russell Wilson, I hate him. But the another interesting story, Jason Garrett is out in Dallas.
Such a weird way that went down too, because it was like
That wasn't like take him up behind the barn and shoot him. That was like, let's put him in hospice for a while.
Right. They did the whole thing of like, oh, well, he's not going to be in our plans going forward. So he's fired. Well, no, he's not fired. He's just, we're working. He's not going to be here. So we don't know. It's like, what? So are you going to fire him or like,
well, here's the thing. I'm sure Jerry Jones offered him a front office job, and from what I hear, he wants to coach. I'm thinking, who's going to hire this guy? I mean, who?
Cleveland needs a new coach.
Oh, I don't know. I know. Well, we can save that for. Oh my God!
But is that going to be? How we have the Star Wars Holiday Special? Is that going to be like the New Year's special? We
should name it the Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, Browns Holiday Coaching Special or whatever. I don't know. Or the Valentine's Day Coaching Special with the Browns, because it's a yearly thing at this point. I don't know, but I mean, everybody says, well, he's going to go to the Giants, Garrett. I'm like, the Giants are going to hire him. There's no way. They're in the same division. They've seen what he has not done with the Cowboys. So there's no way that the Giants are going to hire this guy. So I don't know where does he go? Who wants Jason Garrett with all that talent and all the great players he's had? I mean,
there's the Wentz hit if you want to look at it, Greg.
Oh, let me see here.
I just love the gif of him trying to high five his players, and like no one is taking him up on it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And Clowney lowers his head too.
Yeah. It's helmet to helmet. It's driving his helmet into the ground.
How could anybody say that he was a runner at that point?
I mean, it looks like he's trying to escape forward out of the pocket, but still.
Yeah, no, that should have been called. That was dirty as hell.
Yeah, and so he doesn't come back, and the Eagles lose. They don't really threaten the rest of the game. But I think the thing that's more strange about how they let Jason Garrett finally go, the process is over. They've hired a new coach. They interviewed 2 guys.
Who did they hire? Really?
Mike McCarthy.
They interviewed Marvin Lewis and Mike McCarthy and picked Mike McCarthy.
Oh, Marvin Lewis. I mean, I don't know how else to say this, but they interviewed Marvin Lewis because he's black. And they had no intention of hiring Marvin Lewis.
Okay. They hired him because of the Rooney Rule. Marvin Lewis is black. Okay. And I know Marvin Lewis, we all remember that, the reign of, I don't want to say terror. Maybe.
Hey, he's been a valuable advisor to the Arizona State coaching staff this year.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, I think it would be hilarious if Marvin Lewis had become the new Cowboys coach.
Right, because he just got rid of a guy that went 10 years going 8-8 with talent.
It's like, so Marvin Lewis is going to be here for 15 years.
Cowboys fans would have gone insane. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know if they should be that much happier with Mike McCarthy.
They shouldn't be. Take it from somebody who knows.
Right. He does have success behind him.
No, he's got that Super Bowl, the one like with Drew Brees. You win that Super Bowl and all your other sins are forgiven. And come on. Yeah. I mean, Mike McCarthy especially, the guy's not a good coach. I've watched him up close and personal every year that I can remember that I've had the NFL Sunday ticket and followed the Packers. And he's not good. He wasted Aaron Rodgers, and now Rodgers can't do what he used to do. And you've got, what's his name, LaFleur up there getting the most he can out of an old beaten down quarterback. But no, and what cracks me up about this, Mike, you brought up the Browns. People up here are having a shit fit that they didn't get Mike McCarthy. I'm like, you people don't know the bullet you just dodged. You have no idea.
No. This is great. It opens up Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. The rumor up here is that the Haslams really want Josh McDaniel and some player personnel person from the Patriots.
Did they watch the Patriots offense this season? They want Josh McDaniels?
That's what they want.
Okay.
I think they should go with the guy that they didn't. It came down between what's his name, Kevin Stefanski or whatever his last name is with the Vikings, and Freddie Kitchens, and everybody in the building except John Dorsey loved the guy from the Vikings. Dorsey wanted Kitchens. So they said, okay, well, Dorsey, he's got a track record with the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. We'll do this. Because he did a great job with Baker Mayfield and all that. Now they're debating whether he even had that much of an influence over it, whatever. So I think that if I were the Browns, I would go back and go, we can fix this. We can take the guy we wanted last year and see what happens. That's what I would do. But they're probably going to do something stupid because they're the Browns and that's what they do. Because that's actually, you take the Haslams out of it and the 46 coaching changes in 3 years. It's a pretty attractive job. There's a lot of talent to work with there. But do you want to come into all the dysfunction? That's the question.
Well, and if you're the guy for the Vikings that got turned down already,
right?
Do you really want to get picked? Oh, hey, sorry, we made a mistake. Should have hired you. You want to come back?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
But the one thing I have realized is that 80%, no, probably more like 95% of Browns fans are complete idiots, which didn't used to be that way. But they're like, oh, Mike McCarthy, Jimmy Haslam didn't hire the right guy. It's like, no, this was great. You want him in Dallas. You don't want him in Cleveland. I don't know who you want, but I know who you don't want. You don't want Mike McCarthy. It's as simple as that.
And I have to think that if there's any Cowboys fans that are encouraged by this, they have to think, oh, well, he's going to turn Dak Prescott into Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, no.
Probably not.
Really.
Prescott ain't Aaron Rodgers, man. He's not. I don't know how long Jason Garrett lasted.
I think
but I don't know how long you let Mike McCarthy stay there if they don't start winning.
Oh, they'll be better. They'll be better. There's no question about it. They're not going to go 8-8 with Mike McCarthy. They'll probably go move up to 10-6, 11-5, but that's as far as it's going to go. They will improve. There's no question about that. But it's like, is that what you want? Do you want to be the Packers of the last 8 years? Because that's what you're going to be. You're going to be just good enough to win a bad division and not good enough to do anything else. That's what you're going to be.
The Cowboys will be salvaged by the fact that the rest of this division sucks.
Yeah. And, if you look at the NFC North for quite a few years there.
What are you telling me you don't have faith in the Del Rio-led Redskins?
Well, no, it's Ron Rivera.
Sorry, Ron Rivera. Right.
Actually, that was the guy I wanted for the Browns, was Ron Rivera. I thought he would have been the perfect choice. Experienced, is taking a team to a Super Bowl. The Panthers are usually pretty competitive, and he's not a guy who's going to come in and take any bullshit from these idiot players that we have. But
the one that I question in that whole exchange is why, if you're Ron Rivera, why do you go to the Redskins?
I guess because you don't have other options for Browns.
He had to have multiple suitors. He probably had options, and he chose Dan Snyder.
Yeah. You chose Dan Snyder. You chose a team without a quarterback. You chose a team without, I don't know, any footing in terms of getting on the right track.
The only thing that makes sense is that Snyder was willing to overpay, and he just said fuck it and did it for the money.
Yeah, and then your first choice is, well, I want Jack Del Rio to be my defensive coordinator. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I just that's the thing too. With Freddie Kitchens, he had to go, and Garrett had to go too, because sometimes the guy's just there too long, and it could be just as simple as that.
He was there far too long.
Right.
Yes.
But in some cases, you just look at around and you go, I don't know who you replace this guy with. What were some of the other openings?
Yeah. I think
the Giants. Well, I don't know who their coach was.
Giants still don't have one. Well, I think what you're seeing this year is a response to last year.
Yeah.
Right? Where last year everybody was trying to get the next Sean McVay, and it hasn't all worked out, right? Who's the guy that signed with the Packers? I forget his name. Who's the head coach of the Packers?
LaFleur. I can't think of his first name.
He's the only one that seems to have worked, right? Because
Cliff Kingsbury, Jesus Christ.
Cliff King, the Cardinals got better as the year went along, but not the option you want quite yet. Zach Taylor didn't do all that great with the Bengals, but again, it's the Bengals. I don't know what you wanted. And so I think this is a response of, well, everybody went with youth last year, but we're teams that we think we can win right now. We don't want to go with that. So we're going to get these established guys. I think that's what the Cowboys have to think, right? That because it's Jerry Jones and because the hype, they have to think that they're close to winning again.
Okay, so which teams that fired coaches no longer coaches are still looking, because so the Redskins got Rivera.
Mm-hmm. The Giants don't have one yet.
Giants don't have one.
Browns.
That's incredible to think that 3 teams in one division all fired coaches.
Browns don't. The Browns don't have one. The Giants don't have one. The Cowboys got McCarthy. So okay. Right.
Did the Jaguars fire their coach?
No, they're keeping. They're staying.
They're keeping him because I think they looked around and said we're not going to find anybody better. So Greg, I hate to break it to you, but if Jason Garrett really wants to coach next year, there's a 50-50 shot he lands on the Browns. Oh, I know. I don't even care. I really don't.
like I'm just saying, it's because if Jason Garrett is committed to coaching next year, then his choices are the Browns or the Giants.
I will say this about my beloved Cleveland Browns, okay? If you walk into this room right now, and I have not touched a thing since we moved here 3 years ago, you would walk in and go, well, this guy's clearly a Packers fan that just likes the Browns a little bit. That's the way you would see this room.
See, here's the thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it helps when one team's won a Super Bowl and the other one's been terrible.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, like the Browns feel. It feels like the Browns are just as hopeless now as when they went 0-16.
Yeah,
I know.
Worse because they haven't gotten any better, really.
Yeah.
This team needs to do 2 things, okay? Just 2 things to fix this. Get rid of Odell Beckham Jr., not because he's a bad player or anything else, just because he does not fit on that team. They didn't need him in the first place. They had no idea how to use him, and he doesn't want to be there. So chuck him. Let him go. You don't need him. You'll be fine without him. And the second thing they've got to do is they've got to get a coach in there that they're going to give like at least 3 years to figure this out. And
given the personalities they have on that team, they need a bit of a hard ass.
Exactly. You don't want a college coach. You don't want. I mean, I guess the right young coach might work, but that's why I thought Ron Rivera was the perfect choice. You need a veteran coach to come in and work with this young talent.
Well, maybe that's why he picked the Redskins. Maybe the Browns called and he panicked. He's like, "Oh shit, I got to take myself off the market like immediately."
What does that say about your organization when the Washington fucking Redskins seem like the better option? Really?
Like I'm not kidding when I said what I said, earlier this year.
Yeah.
Close the franchise.
After that Browns Patriots game, it's like, yeah.
Just restart, man. Do over. Do a re-expansion.
A re-expansion, like the last one didn't take, so we're going to shut down for 5 years. We'll try again later.
I just think there's too much baggage.
Yeah.
Right? It's just. We joked for years about the Clippers, how the Clippers are nothing, and they finally made themselves into a little bit of something, but still,
it's the Clippers.
Right.
There is historical precedence for this, okay?
The last time they shut the team down.
I would just point out, this is a team that's won, I think, 5 NFL championships. I know that no one counts anything before the Super Bowl, but they happened. All right. They made the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 times in the 80s, once in the 90s before they moved. So the incompetence, it was unlucky before. Now it's just, I don't know what you even call this except a clown show. But what was I going to say? What were we how did we get to this anyway? What did you say?
We're talking about coaches and then the Browns because
all right.
We're talking about coaches and then the Browns came up because now they are one of
historical precedent. That's what I was going to say. Okay. The Steelers, until Chuck Noll came along, were exactly like this. They were terrible. I mean, just a shit show from start to finish. I think they had one winning record in 30 years or something. They were really, really bad. You saw what happened with the Saints. They were really bad for a long time. The Oilers were bad. I've never seen anything like this. I'll be the first to admit that. Maybe the Saints were close, but not quite. But I've never seen 20 years of just I can't even describe it. Just horrific.
It's one thing to be a historic team, like the original Browns. You were a historic team that had been around for a while. You had years of success, but you were in a down period, and then it went away. This is there. If we're really going
This team, yeah. Let's.
If we're looking at it as it actually is, and not that they are a continuation of the old Browns,
which they are not.
I mean, if we just are honest with ourselves and be like, they are a 1999 expansion team,
which is what they are.
1999 expansion team.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single team in the history of pro sports that has had this little success relative to the entire history of the franchise. I think the only one that comes close is the Clippers, but. Besides
even the Clippers have made the playoffs a few times.
And when they were the Braves, they were halfway decent. So it's I've never seen anything like this. This is incompetence at a level that I've never seen. And they've even thrown 2 or 3 winning seasons in there, despite all of this. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't want to go down the Browns rabbit hole. Look, it is what it is. I get that, it's bad to fire your coach after 1 year, but did anybody really think this guy was going to get any better?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? And that's that I think is what's adding to this feeling of hopelessness. The Browns, I mean, Greg Williams is a scumbag, but honestly, from a purely objective standpoint, they probably should have given him a year just to see what he could do. But beyond that, it's like so you had an interim coach who worked out. You chose to replace him with this guy who was clearly in over his head. And you don't want to replace a coach after 1 year, but at the same time, they didn't have a choice. They couldn't keep him on.
No, but that's the thing, though. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to get an extra from the fucking Dukes of Hazzard movie to be your head coach in the first place.
Oh, no, that was a dumb decision.
He'd never done the job before, ever, at any level. Not high school, not college, not in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Not the XFL, not the AAF, none of that shit. Nothing. Never. And you hand him the keys to one of 32 fucking jobs in the whole world. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was the smartest move. And I'm sure he's a great guy. Stupid. I mean, and what idiot?
What was that video you posted? That one Browns fan be like the rap video. I can't take Freddie's play calling no more.
Guy posts a new video every week. He's not quite urinating tree good, but he's pretty solid. Yeah. But look,
this is actually an interesting list that I found. The website Complex. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I just want to say the Browns have the best lists.
Oh yeah, this is a good list. This is from 2018, so not as recent as you would like, but it's still relevant. This guy made up a formula to make the list of basically the 25 most miserable franchises since 1990. So in modern history, like in my lifetime, in mostly Mike's lifetime, would have been the worst franchises top to bottom. So they did the 25 worst. I'm gonna skip to just the bottom because it's relevant. We'll start with the number 6, the Cincinnati Bengals. Since 1990, 8 winning seasons, 8 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win, 0 titles. Number 5 was the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6 winning seasons, 6 playoff appearances, 1 playoff series win, 0 titles.
That's not too bad.
I think that series, quote unquote, was just a wild card game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No. They went to the NLCS in the early 90s.
Oh right.
Yeah, right. Against the Braves. Right. Yeah, I think twice.
But again, that feels like forever ago. Number 4 was the Timberwolves, Minnesota basketball.
Nobody gives a fuck about them.
That's
they don't.
8 winning seasons, 8 playoff appearances, 2 playoff series wins, no titles. Number 3, this one has changed now. Was the Expos Nationals.
Oh, okay, yeah, you got to take that one off the list. Yeah,
yeah. They added a winning season, they added a playoff appearance, they added a couple playoff series wins. They won a title. That they're wiped off of this board now.
That they did it all in one season just makes it all the better, I suppose.
Yeah, so, and most recent, so they're not included in this list. Number 2, Milwaukee Brewers. They had, I guess, if you include this year, they had 9 winning seasons, 3 playoff appearances, 2 playoff series, 1 playoff series win because they didn't win this year, and 0 titles. And then number 1 is the Cleveland Browns. Since 1990. This is this is even including the original.
Let me see if I can do this off the top of my head without you giving me the numbers. Since
1990. How many winning seasons?
One. Okay, 94. Then they were gone, and then they had a winning season in 2002.
Yeah, that was the playoff year.
The playoff year. I'm going to say 2007.
That was the Tommy Maddox
right
comeback.
3
winning seasons since the year 1990. Yes.
2 playoff appearances.
2 playoff appearances. 1
playoff win against the New England Patriots, ironically enough.
Yeah, 1 playoff win.
Who was coaching the Browns when they beat the Patriots? Bill Belichick.
Some guy, yeah.
Yeah. The one time you fucking got it right, and not only do you not keep him, but you move the fucking franchise. This all could have been the Cleveland Browns, folks. All of it. I could be sitting here going like, God, this is great. Everybody hates my team because we've won 6 Super Bowls, but no. No.
Tom Brady and the Cleveland Browns.
Again, so this list was made in April of 2018. So at that time, they list that they've gone through the new Browns since 99 had gone through 28 starting quarterbacks. So you could probably say they've gone up to 30, 31 by now.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
At the time, 9 head coaches. Let's make it 10. Or make it 11, I guess.
Yeah.
9 general managers.
10.
10.
Dorsey got fired.
Dorsey got fired.
So again, since 99, that's 20 football seasons, 20 years. They've 31 quarterbacks, 10 head coaches, 10 general managers.
Yeah, that's every 2 years, whether you need it or not.
But that's the problem, I think, too, is that when things go wrong, they don't stick it out. And if they do, it's like they say, "Oh, we'll give this one more year," and then it goes away.
Well, I guess it depends on who you want to stick it out with. Like traded, like Eric Mangini. I don't know.
In recent years, they've traded out of draft picks that eventually became Julio Jones, Carson Wentz, just to name a few.
Right, they could have had Carson Wentz, but
they could have had a lot of these guys, and the ones that they do keep. Like, let's say, Johnny Manziel, don't work. Nope. It's amazing how incompetent they have been on all levels. Those winning seasons are accidents.
Oh yeah, aberrations, absolutely.
Like one of them was Derek Anderson, right?
It's the law of big numbers that eventually they're going to have a winning season by accident. And they've done it twice. There you go. Yeah. That's 1 for every 10 years.
I mean, fans of the show know that we talk about this franchise way too much, but it's impossible to not talk about a team that they are incredible in how much they fail.
I mean, I just keep coming back to that one video, like the Factory of Sadness video, like. The best probability is staggering.
You know what the best thing to happen to this team in the last 10 years is going to be? When they go back to their old uniforms in April. That's going to be the high point.
I'm not convinced they're going to pull it off. I still think they're going to do something stupid.
The word up here has that they're basically going back to the Jim Brown era look. That's it.
That's good.
Yeah. They're not playing any Nike's fucking games. They're like, nope, we want our traditional uniforms back. End of story.
But again,
that's what they're saying. Now, again, that's what they're saying. The Browns have said a lot of things over the years that never really happened. So who knows?
That fact is really sad, though, because again, when we look at this list that this guy put together, the Brewers were ahead of the Nationals Expos, but I think before the Nationals won the World Series, I think really that's the only true comparison of a team that's that terrible. Like the Minnesota Timberwolves were the next team on that list. Like whatever.
Yeah, but the Nationals, even though they had
Brewers or whatever, the Pirates or whatever.
The Nationals, how many playoff series did they get in and lose? You know, I mean, at least they were getting there. You know, you're talking about a team that made the playoffs once 18 years ago.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
and lost to the XFL MVP. Just
right. Exactly.
Like as I scroll up, like the Bengals are pretty terrible. Like even when sure they have more playoff appearances, but they didn't do anything with any of them. The Lions are probably just as bad, but still not as bad.
Not quite. Close, but not quite. And you've had Matt Stafford for how many years now?
Yeah.
10, 12, something like that?
I'm sure Browns fans would love to have a Matt Stafford.
I'll take him right now.
I think the difference with the Bengals, right, is that, okay, the Bengals have had a lot of disappointment, but, like, even this year, where the Bengals were easily the worst team in the NFL, they still split the season series with the Browns. Like, the Browns
a Browns team that people said were a Super Bowl contender going into the season.
Lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. So
yes, it should have lost to them twice. We all know it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Urinating Tree was so right when he said that game was a win, although it felt like a devastating loss. That's exactly, it was so perfect. Because it was like, okay, they won, but wow, really? That's how you felt afterwards. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess at some point you just go, well, maybe they'll get it right this time. And you don't really worry about it. That's where I'm at. It's like, okay, fine. If you get it right, great. I'll be happy. If not, you know what? I own another NFL team that does pretty well. Got a good quarterback. I'm happy.
Hey. So I have a degree of optimism for you, Greg, as far as the Browns go.
All right.
I think Kevin Costner's available for GM duties.
Hey, could he be any worse? Really? We could trade for that guy, that actor that played at Ohio State.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, does Ohio State have any promising defensive backs
actually,
that the Browns
quite a few.
Draft high?
Yeah, a couple actually. Yeah, Jeff Okudah's really good.
Well, look, you want those guys who played their college ball in Ohio because they know what it means to be a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, I mean, except these guys are off Texas and shit, but whatever.
So I'm watching this bowl game right here.
Yeah.
And there's a Miami of Ohio quarterback that you might be interested in, Greg, once he becomes available. He's only a sophomore, I think. Brett Gabbert.
Is he related to Blaine?
He is indeed.
Oh, there we go.
He's
I saw him come on the field earlier.
In Ohio. He's got an NFL pedigree. Perfect for the Browns.
Anyway, let's make some quick picks for next week's games, guys, and then let's wrap this bad boy up.
I think that the Ravens and Chiefs both win. I think it's over for Houston and Tennessee. As fun as it was, Titans, you did it good. You did it good, but the ride's over.
Well, they did what they had to do. Now it's time to ride off into the sunset. Simple as that.
I agree on both of those. I think the Packers Seahawks is.
Oh, I hope the Packers.
Or no, it's not Packers Seahawks. It's Packers Vikings, right?
Oh, no, it's Packers Seahawks.
It's Packers
Seahawks. Okay.
Yes.
Whose horseshoe is bigger, Aaron Rodgers or
this year? Russell Wilson's is by a significant margin.
Look, I can't say it, so I'm going to go with. Come on, Packers. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all rooting for the Packers.
Yeah.
I know I am.
I don't think there's any other way about that.
What about San Francisco, Minnesota?
That one's tough because I think Minnesota might be better than people have made them out to be. But I don't know. Like, San Francisco has been pretty impressive all year. I'm gonna say San Francisco. I think they do it. Not Mike Shanahan.
Mike.
Yeah.
No, Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan and his stupid trucker hat make it to the.
Stupid trucker hat. I thought they had played each other this year. I guess not. I'm gonna go Vikings.
I'm not gonna go quite as far as to pick the Vikings, but I'm gonna put 2 games on upset alert this week. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Vikings, 49ers. Mm-hmm. I think that that extra week off, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. But if the Vikings or if the 49ers are going to lose, this is the game that they will lose. I don't know that they will, but there's a good chance. And the other one, I think Packers Seahawks, that's a toss-up. Either team could win, so you really can't call either one an upset. And the other upset I think is a potential is Kansas City and Houston, right? That's who's playing, right?
Yeah.
Texans have already beaten them once in Kansas City this year. So keep your eye on that one too. But if I had to pick, I'm going with the favorites in every game. All four. I'm taking Baltimore, Kansas City, Green Bay, and the Niners. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Minnesota beat the Niners and Houston beat the Kansas City Royals, which would be very surprising because the Royals aren't even playing right now. So that would really be a shocker. But the Chiefs.
I don't think there's any result that would chat my ass more than the Seahawks win.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. Dude, you've seen what they do. I mean, and it's like that horseshoe.
This is my problem because here's what the bad part of my brain sees happening. You have them, they play the Packers. Let's say they win, they move on. They play the Vikings or the 49ers, teams that they beat, when they played.
Right. Yeah. So,
that they would be on the road for the Niners, home for the Vikings. And I have this bad vision of a path to a Seahawks Super Bowl appearance.
Oh yeah, it's not that far fetched. Here's what I see. This is why I want Minnesota to beat San Francisco and the Packers to beat Seattle. That way, Minnesota has to come to Lambeau to play the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see.
Well, and the problem too is I was so ready for the Seahawks to be dead as well. After the way they played last year, I was like, oh, they're done. And really, the team's not that good.
No.
It's just been a lot of Russell Wilson magic and tight games. And now they have a path to the Super Bowl, which is just infuriating.
Well, but at the same time, how long can they do this tight game bullshit? I mean, they're not
for 17 games.
Not every team they're going to play this playoffs, is going to lose their starting quarterback right out of the gates. So.
Yeah, I think the thing that are going against them is that they're on the road. They're playing Aaron Rodgers. And maybe you're and again, you're right. Maybe they've used up the magic, and this is where it ends.
Well, here's something to think about. Okay, the Seahawks are coming into this game with their Marshawn Lynch, which is fine. He's but he's not Marshawn Lynch from 3 or 4 years ago. He's been retired for 2 seasons now, so he's not going to get 30 carries and go for 180 yards. The Packers have a good running game. If the defense plays half as good as it did against Minnesota a couple weeks ago, they'll be fine. It's in Lambeau. I'm not too worried about it, other than the Russell Wilson horseshoe thing. But I think the Packers should win this game because they're better than the Seahawks. I don't think they're a good team like the 49ers are, but I think they can handle the Seahawks, so I'm not too worried about that one. We'll take care of business for you. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I got a good feeling about it.
I can only hope.
So anyway,
before we go, let's touch on the college football playoff real quick.
Okay.
LSU just demolished Oklahoma.
Oh, Jesus.
Not even.
It was ugly.
Joe Burrow threw for 5 touchdowns in the first quarter, was it? Or
I think the first 8 minutes or something like that.
I think he accounted for 8 touchdowns on his own, either throwing or running, in that game, which was incredible. So I mean, I would have to think that makes them the favorite going into the final, where they play Clemson, who played the competitive semifinal against your Buckeyes, Greg, who blew a 16-0 lead.
Well, they blew a 16-0 lead and made some just dumb mistakes. And everybody's like, oh, that fumble call, that was what cost them the game. It's like, no, that hurt, no question about it. But like I said about the Saints earlier, they should have never been in a position for that play to even matter by the time it happened. They shouldn't have been. They had 3 different chances to score touchdowns in the first half, came away with field goals every time. Score once, you win the game. Simple as that. So the Buckeyes shot their own foot off. I thought they were the better team out of the two, but give Clemson all the credit in the world, man. They hung tough because they were down 16, and they hung tough and came back and won the game. And that's experience. I got nothing but good things to say about them. That was an awesome comeback by them and a great performance.
Yeah.
So
I don't want any rules to be changed. I don't want anything. I don't want the referees to be fired. Nothing. My team got beat. Simple as that.
Interesting fact before we get to the College Football Finals. This is the first year since 2013 that neither the Patriots or the Alabama Crimson Tide will win the football championship.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think LSU is going to mop the floor with Clemson. I mean, they're just really good.
I think Clemson could give them a real, good, fighter's chance. They can give them a real good punch. But that offense, all season, I kind of not followed college football as closely as I have in years past, but I've never, even when I watched LSU, was like, okay, they're good, but how good are they? How good is this Burrow kid? Is he really supposed to be the best quarterback? I don't know. Heisman Trophy, okay, I guess he put up the numbers. But getting the chance to actually watch him for a complete big time game like that was in the playoff, it was just it was too easy.
Yeah.
They eviscerated Oklahoma.
But to be fair, it's Oklahoma where they don't play defense.
True. also true. But Oklahoma with Jalen Hurts, if there's anybody in this playoff that had everything to play for, it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't put up a performance even close to what Burrow's.
Well, LSU's got that. They still got a pretty solid defense to go with that offense too.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I said before the playoffs started, I said Clemson scared me to death. Because I was like, I figured, well, you're gonna have to play them sooner or later, so you may as well play them now and see what happens. And I thought the Buckeyes did pretty well.
They do have that championship pedigree.
Yeah, and they've been there before, so that you can't discount that one, especially with LSU's never played this version of LSU does not have any championship game experience, so who knows? But we'll see.
I've wanted these two teams to play in a big time game like this forever because I love the Tigers versus Tigers, Death Valley versus Death Valley. It's
two teams that wear purple.
Sure. Yeah, I mean purple is a secondary color. Sure.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm actually excited to watch the national championship.
Yeah, it should be a good game. It should be really something. We're going to wrap it up. As always, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Stitcher, and YouTube. And with that, we'll see you next time. Go Pack.
Go Packers. Go Texans.
Go Packers. Just do the world a favor.